2 scoops of cocoa powder in the coffee as it's brewing, and it'll change your life. Also, by the way, here's my veto pose.
What is the veto? Is this when we like ask whether it resolves or not, and then we're just like, oh my god, that's what you're talking about. That's what's up. Wait, does that look like you?
Dude, straight up, like my vetoes arrived in the mail today, and so I was like, I got to set up and play like
Let's
this.
Okay, go.
Well, we got a game underway. We got double Mox Diamond start for whose side is this? This is Jesse's side.
Alan, right?
That's Alan.
Alan's playing Loam, and we got a double Mox Diamond start. So this is going to be a turn 1 kill, obviously.
Exactly, dude. Mox Diamond, like I don't know. So the matchup is going to be Loam versus Delver, and like the way this matchup plays in my mind always is that Mox Diamond and just having mana in general is so important. Oh my god!
Yeah, just a turn 1 Oko. How about that?
Oh god. The hands where you have thankfully Jesse has a forcible, but the hands where you have Mox Diamond versus the hands where you don't have Mox Diamond, they're just so different.
We were so close to a turn 1 kill right there. Good thing Force exists.
But yeah, like oh, that's crazy. And this is like that's a basic island. So
that's a basic island. Turn 1 Mox Oko, and your opponent has to pitch a brainstorm to a Force. Altars, Be Still My Heart, but like that's still like a pretty ridiculous start for Loam here.
I like how we have this gorgeous Force of Will, and then we have like this white bordered Cold Snap, like snow covered island.
Dude, we follow up with a Sylvan Library. Oh, dude, if you appreciate like really pimped out decks, Alan's decks are always tricked to the 9s. No,
okay, all right. Yeah. I mean, I see the forest. I see the foil Mox Diamonds and the foil Sylvan Library.
It's always as foiled out as possible. Like nothing but Amonkhet masterpieces. Like
let's go. So there's a turn 2 Sylvan Library and a turn 2 Dreadhorde Arcanist. So it's like both players are playing the same game here, almost just trying to draw a bunch of cards. I wonder if Alan is just gonna like snap pay 8 here, put all the Entreat the Angels in his hand, that kind of deal. Just jive,
dude. If he's playing I played a Loam Miracles variant where the whole goal was just to like ramp to big entreats and then start wasting your own Mystic Sanctuaries and loaming them back and then just entreating every turn. It was nasty.
That sounds gross. Oh, is he putting 2 back?
His opponent's on 4 cards. Jesse's on 4 cards. And he's got no reasonable cantrips in the yard yet. And he's also wasteland proof at the moment. So there's probably a bunch of cards in the deck that he doesn't even necessarily want off of the Loam at the moment. Wasteland. So like there's a wasteland that he can't use. So it's like,
yeah, I would imagine that right now, like we want cards like, Abrupt Decay is a very good one. We want cards like Knight of the Reliquary, more Okos, just like get on the board, use that mana advantage, punish our opponent for, I don't know, just not for playing Delver basically. Yeah.
Do you think that Abrupt Decay was a little preemptive there? I feel like he could have waited because Jesse's going to change his sequencing if he thinks he has an attack with an Arcanist coming in,
Yeah, that's a really good point. I am guilty of this all the time where I'm just like, you know what? I want that F6 value. I'm going to Abrupt Decay your thing right now. And then like my opponent ponders into creatures when they would rather just be pondering into more cantrips or something like that. Yeah. But instead it looks like Jesse's just going to play a Polluted Delta and pass here. While we resolve the second Sylvan Library activation. I mean, it looks like Alan didn't pay any life the first time, putting back 2 cards. Hopefully there are better cards this time around, and he's going to get something good to draw here.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things where he has only, how many Uros does he have here? He only has 1 Uro. And he's also on all of the dark. I mean, not all of them. He's on 3 Dark Confidants.
3. Wow, that's actually exciting because normally you see 4 in like every list. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So he's switching up. I mean, he has a suite of like 1-ofs in this list.
Okay.
So I think that being on double Mox Diamond plus his opponents on lower resources because they had to turn 1 Force, and he had the answer for what may have been the only threat. He doesn't even need to necessarily pressure too hard with this Sylvan Library because he's so far ahead right now. And another Oko here that if it's unanswered, it's probably just going to run away with it.
Yeah, Oko on an empty board is always terrifying. And
that's just good wholesome magic is what that is.
I mean, in some universe it is, but like it's pretty cool here. He gets to make a food here if he really wants to. He could start gaining some life and like, let this Sylvan Library, let the cards flow in, if you feel me. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
So Jesse's got some cool tech in this blue-red list. He's actually playing 2 Chandra's Incinerator. That's the new M21 card.
Oh my goodness.
Which is pretty beefy. I mean, it's not going to do anything in the face of an Oko, but he can potentially like start chucking the Oko a little bit hard because he does have Sprite Dragons for flash threats. Bone Crusher can grind a little bit. I mean,
is that a Bone Crusher giant right there?
Yeah, he has he stomped it.
Ooh, okay.
So
that's kind of exciting.
It's like a Bone Crusher getting targeted by a spell will deal 2 damage to the controller, but not by an ability. So Oko is also good at checking a Bone Crusher giant.
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, guys. I'm just gonna talk to the players real quick. Hang on. You. Hey, players, life total check?
He's going to 6.
Okay, so how many times did you pay life from Sylvan Library?
Twice.
I've paid twice.
So you paid 8 life. Okay.
Yep.
So you're at 6.
Yep, I'm at 6.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah. Jesse also has some pretty interesting cards. He's also playing a pair of Stormwing entities. So he's got some N21 spice going on in this blue-red list.
We're out here chefing, man. Like this, that's some real stuff right there. I like that a lot. I like that. I think a lot of the M21 cards I haven't seen. I want to see more of them in action, and so I appreciate the brew stuff. I played with Stormwing Entity like the other day, and I actually think that card has a lot more potential than it appears to, because like everything about it's like reasonable. Like 3/3, 2 mana for flying, and like you just combine it with a gut shot, and like it's also got like prowess and it's scries too. Like
yeah, I think that scry too, I think goes a lot deeper, especially in the Delver decks, where usually when you're applying enough pressure, like an example like is right now, right? So Alan's going to have to be cracking these foods to get his life total out of kill range.
Yep.
But usually the Delver lists they don't necessarily need to go up in raw cards. I mean, there are some versions that can, but for straight blue-red, it's pretty much like, do you need a threat, or do you need a removal spell, or do you need something to just go face? And so scrying goes a lot. Scrying goes a lot harder in Delver than it does in cards that are trying to accrue resources, like, name any of the control decks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, you spend the whole game trying to like navigate or like push your opponent into like an exact position where like certain cards are going to just completely end them, and like you want them to play into those cards eventually in those positions. So any sort of selection is obviously going to be great for the Delver. So the Scry 2 I think is going to be pretty good. Like I think especially in this position. Well, I don't know. Okay, so we're looking at what looks like Alan is at 9 and his opponent is at some irrelevant life total. I guess we're just trying to stabilize from this board. I think the Oko should be enough to get there. Like it's at 6 loyalty right now, right?
I mean, this
6.
Oko, it's one of those things where if he elks the giant, then there's probably a high likelihood that Jesse just goes face to check the life total, because that's the one axis that isn't cut off from him yet. But because of the +2, Alan for the next couple of turns can also just keep up 2 of his land taps and knock this giant from actually dealing any damage anyway.
Yeah, I mean, or you could just the Mox Diamonds have done their job now. You know what I mean? Like they gave you that early acceleration. They let you put a bunch of powerful permanents into play. Now you could just make one of them into a 3/3 and just be like, haha, nice, Bone Crusher giant you got there. It would be a shame if it got blocked by a big Knight of the Reliquary. What's she looking like right now?
A Knight of the so a Green Sun for 3, just resolving against Jesse's deck that has 6 forces in it is
not a good sign for Jesse, at least.
It's interesting because he's playing 2 Chandra's Incinerators, but he actually is pretty dense on creatures. He's playing 14 creatures, and the only burn spells he has in his deck are 4 Chain Lightning and 4 Bolt. So because Incinerator wants the non-combat damage to go face in order to reduce the cost, those spells are really looking more like lava spikes than they are removal spells to not strand a 6 mana spell in his hand. So he doesn't actually have wild combo potential turn 1 suspend Rift Bolt and then turn 2 of Chandra's Incinerator afterwards. So it seems like it's a peculiar top end, but hopefully he can prove that it's a worthy inclusion.
Yeah. So what is the full text on Chandra's Incinerator? How exactly does this card work?
So it costs 5 and a red, and it's a 6/6. And but it says whenever an opponent is dealt non-combat damage, that the Incinerator's cost is reduced by that amount of damage.
Oh,
so the turn 1 combo in Burn is you suspend a Rift Bolt on turn 1, turn 2, bolt them to the face, lava spike them to the face, and then just cast your Incinerator for 1 mana.
I see. Well, that's a really good rate for. Okay, but that's like the dream scenario, right? So in a shell like Delver, you're probably working a lot harder to get it into play because you're right. You are dealing mostly combat based damage unless you do something like I guess Bolt Arcanist Bolt. Maybe that's the dream there.
That's possible. Yeah, you can Bolt Arcanist Bolt. I mean, the thing is that the way that Chandra Incinerator, at least from the build, I mean, we can talk to Jesse afterwards, but looking at the build here, it looks as though it's really just softening his burn spells to turn into lava spikes in order to turn the Incinerator on. But I mean, in matches like this too, I mean, he is at 4 mana. It's not imperceivable that he does get to where he can just hard cast the 6/6, and that might be good, you know.
Ooh, and look at that. A pair of Bone Crusher Giants work together to take down the Knight of the Reliquary. Blocking the Bone Crusher dealt 4 damage to the Knight, and then the Stomp is going to be able to finish it off. So, I mean, I feel personally like this game might still be just barely within reach, but I think it's just like a ticking time bomb. This Oko, like a couple more activations, and then, you know, Jesse's going to be in a really, really tough spot.
Yeah, it's also, I mean, the players don't know each other's exact lists, so he doesn't know that Jesse's top end is a lot higher than normally for Blue-Red Delver, but he also does have a Wasteland staring at a Volk that he can cut Jesse on resources, and you know that Jesse's resources are already probably going to be tied up in casting a 3-mana Bone Crusher.
That's not good for Jesse at all. Alan's going to tap 3 mana in his main phase for this Uro. What is it, Titan of Nature's Wrath?
Oh, we got a Stifle.
Oh, we're stifling the gain 3 draw card? I panicked for a second. I was like, are we stifling the sacrifice trigger? Because I've never...
Right. That would be some shenanigans. He straight up stifles the draw land trigger on the Uro. So Uro just 3 mana, put it in the graveyard.
I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it trades for a card. It does trade for a card.
He can't escape it right now, right?
Looks like he cannot escape because we can't pay the mana for it, which is fine, I suppose. Yeah.
On his next turn, he'll have double blue, double green to escape it, assuming that one of his blue lands doesn't get, or one of his duels doesn't get wasted. But I don't think that's really the game plan here.
Honestly, like even if your Bayou does get wastelanded, like you could just spend a turn like Thespian staging a forest or a volcanic or an island or whatever it is you want, and then you can just like this Uro is going to hit the battlefield at some point in time. So we are. I mean, I'm a little bit nervous.
Also, Jesse decided not to slam his Bone Crusher there on 3 mana, so I don't know what else he's doing with his mana other than holding up some sort of counter magic. But like, I mean, maybe he thinks that he needs to hold up something for Uro, but like Force of Negation is not going to take care of an Uro. So I don't know what he's considering to use his mana for outside of like maybe double bolt to take down something. Yeah. That's not a game-winning line though.
It isn't, but like at this point, you're so far behind that you can't even think about winning the game. You gotta think about like surviving. You know what I mean?
Uro plus Oko is like I think Alan has game 1 here.
Yeah, there are mythics that were made in the last 16 months, of course.
Nah, yeah. I mean, but and you know what? Maybe Jesse's taking a cue here. He's just like, all right, 2019. Let me show you the power of red in 2020. But with the way the board state is looking right now, I mean, are these food tokens foil too? Like what?
Yeah, dude. Alan doesn't mess around. He's like, if there's an alternate version of an artwork in promo form that's foil, it's in his hands.
Yeah. All right, and so I just noticed too that Jesse only had 2 cards in his hand. So at this point, I think the 6/6 life gaining drawing carding thingy is just gonna. It's tough. I don't know if there's a way for that, but I'm gonna guess that post board we've got some cool interactive spells that will help take down Oko and Uro.
An example that I always think of is if you're playing against Delver, if you have to change the way you play in a significant manner that gives the Delver player time because you're playing around Daze, whether or not they have it, Daze's impact is being felt. You're never really playing around Delver. You're not like, oh, if they have a Delver here, that's bad for me, unless like you're close to dead and they just have any threat that would do. It's always, I need to navigate these early turns. The thing I'm going to get blown out by the most is Daze. So Daze always has the highest impact. And so I always think that if your deck can beat Daze, then you'll have a good Delver matchup.
Yeah.
All right, so,
I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Like playing cards like Mox Diamond and Erupticare are a great example of ways to get ahead of Daze. I mean, on the draw, it's going to be a little bit harder. We're going to see, it looks like Jesse took a mulligan to 6. This is a turn 1 Zenith for Dryad Arbor, it appears.
This was a really one-sided game 1. Do you expect games 2 and 3 to be a little bit more of a match? Or is Loam going to overwhelm in games 2 and 3 as well.
Yeah. Well, Phil, what do you think?
Well, right now I'm looking. So Jesse brainstormed on end step. So he's obviously taking. He thinks that the way to win this matchup is through an aggressive line, right? He's burning a brainstorm here to ensure that this Delver flips so he can start getting the beats in.
Or maybe it was a main phase.
Oh, that was a main phase. Okay, so
Yeah.
he's missed here. So if he doesn't hit a land drop here, then this is probably going to be a quick one. I thought he brainstormed.
Wait a minute. Are you picking this up? He's attacking into the Dryad Arbor. He's prompting the trade with the Delver of Secrets.
So you like this seems there's no I can't imagine that Alan takes this trade unless he wants to give up information that his hand is pretty weak. But the trading of the Delver here to stymie your the Loam player,
no block.
Jesse's deck is bigger, right? He's got Bone Crusher Giants, he's got the 6/6, he's got the 3/3 Stormwing Entity. Like he can go longer with like denser threats than like a normal Rug Delver list. So I think if he can trade this Delver into functionally a wasteland, that would have been a good trade for him, hence why he offered it. He's also using the crisscross method to try and throw Alan off his game, which is important. You know, like you have to. These are
the next level tactics that you just don't see, like on the day to day. So this is why anybody who's in the chat right now, you got to follow 90zMTG. That's what I'm talking about, so that you could keep up with the content. You can get like the freshest stuff when it hits. But one thing that I also want to point out though is that Jesse doesn't have a second land. So like. This is like I mean I guess I'm gonna guess
and
Alan is picking up on this.
It's worth pointing out that he did brainstorm looking for a second land.
He's locked. Well, this goes really deep actually, right? Because we're using the Delver. So like we don't have a second land. We're a bigger Delver deck, so we definitely want the second land. So that's already one thing to pick up. But by not blocking with the
Chalice.
Yeah, and then this is exactly what I was gonna say. Like we want to use the mana from the Dryad Arbor next turn to just like Dimadu our opponent here. And Chalice on 1 is solid against the opponent that
it's wild. I'm trying to just decipher what could possibly be in Jesse's hand, in that he has a full grip. None of them are lands, and this Chalice stuck. So either he has an out that he's just like waiting for. He has no forces because that's a snap force in that position. So his hand just has to be super threat dense. Right? Like, there's no other explanation, right? Like,
yeah, that's interesting. So, I mean, you could make an argument that you don't want to force a will this Chalice of the Void because you would rather save it for something like an Oko that could, take over the game or something like that. I mean, Abrupt Decay is obviously going to be a mad punish here if we decided not to force the Chalice because we wanted to get greedy and do other stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if Jesse just has like a slathering of like maybe like red spells like Lightning Bolt or like even more cantrips that, he wanted to use to like find his lands on this turn or the next and whatever it is. Either way, like Jesse might not be out of the he might not be like dead in the water just yet.
Yeah,
but
I mean, you can decipher from his hand early on when he cast Brainstorm when he was looking for that second land and to stack the Delver. It wasn't a Ponder, so his hand doesn't have a Ponder in it. The Chalice stuck, so you can at this point assume that he doesn't have one of his blue soup card or as one of his counter magic spells, and that Green Sun Zenith for the Dryad Arbor didn't get dazed, which I think you snap daze if you have a turn 1 Delver there, right?
You may have to, yeah.
So yeah. I think your deduction here is right that he's just like sandbagged on a bunch of red cards that he can't cast, hoping that Brainstorm on a fast Delver would have been good enough, and he's just getting punished on this ball game. But we can ask him after the game what his hand looks like. But
Absolutely.
He revealed. Did you see what red card he revealed to?
It was an Abrade.
It was an Abrade, right? Yeah.
So we know that he has at least an Abrade. So maybe he could have a force, and he's like, well, I know I'm drawing this Abrade. I'd rather save the force for an out. That's possible too, if he knew because he knew about the Abrade.
I wish I could see what the 7-card hand he kept was, and see like would I have kept that hand? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Jesse mulled a 6 for this game, so I wouldn't be surprised if he was just like trying to keep the best thing possible. Like it may have been like a really close hand that was like not good enough, but like not bad enough to mulligan. Those kind of hands.
Yeah.
At this point, though, I feel like the game might be over. Like Jesse's at 16, and Alan is sitting at 11, which is a pretty comfortable life total.
I don't know. Like the one thing that could get Jesse out of this is if he finds red source.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did get to bring in 2 Price of Progress, and those are currently able to deal 8. So he could steal a game out of nowhere, even though he's really far behind.
Okay.
That's true.
You also have to
Knight of
assume
the
that
Reliquary. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was just gonna. You also assume that he brings in the Submerge here, so like he still has a bunch of play, but he's gonna discard this 4-mana Chandra to hand size.
Mamma mia. That's a pairing that I don't think I would have ever expected to see. Delver of Secrets and Chandra Torch of Defiance.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
Maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's just, because he's playing that bigger Delver deck, like he's got a lot of like more expensive spells in his hand that he just straight up can't cast, even if he had like, 2 lands in play. So
does it make sense to run 18 lands and a 4-drop like Chandra? Is that just not something you should be doing?
Yeah, that's a little bit greedy in my mind.
It seems like if you wanted to play like just a thicker game, like you just wanted to get real thick post board.
Mm-hmm.
I think you should take a play out of the control decks book where they'll play an additional basic for whatever their off color is.
Right.
Just putting an additional land in the board, even if it's something like a fiery islet or something, just as an additional land to be able to cast your bigger spells,
like a spell land kind of deal, right? Something you can get utility out of, like when you don't need the mana, but also something that can cast your spells when you do. I'm picking up what you're putting down there, dude. That's smart. But like, I don't know, with 1 mana, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in your hand, like this is one of those games where we took a risk and it seems like the gamble's not paying off here. We might be
I think his hand, my guess is he kept a hand that was Island, Threat, Delver, and then it had a Brainstorm and no other action, but it had an Abrade in it. And so he's thinking, okay, well, I have this Brainstorm to potentially get me out of my land issues, and then I have the Abrade for a Chalice if that's what I need, because obviously if you're going to open an Abrade, that's great, right, against this matchup. And then that Brainstorm lock is where he just lost it.
Yeah.
All right.
He's going to scoop it up here. That had to be just like the Brainstorm of death.